Hello everyone, Aaron here and Herman for the first time. This week has been a really busy week as far as news goes. A lot of different announcements made and things with regards to phones and some interesting things coming out. So Microsoft announced Windows Phone 7 this week. They officially announced it. We know it's been coming for some time, and they tried it a little bit in the past with what we have here is the Kin. The Kin was sort of a halfway attempt at making a Windows Phone 7 social media integrated phone, but without the apps, and it was kind of disappointing. For those that have the Kin, maybe they'll do an update, but it doesn't really meet the spec requirements. A lot of different carriers or makers of phones have actually committed to the Windows 7 platform. That would include HTC, LG, Samsung, and Dell have all come out with their own models. They all have Snapdragon 1 gigahertz processors in them and have to conform to some specs that Microsoft put out. And that means they have a camera, they have certain buttons on them, and it's kind of a nice way for them to do that as opposed to say like Android, where you can kind of get away with whatever you want, but there's now a standard set already for the platform for Windows 7. I'm not saying anything against Android, but it's nice to see a standard right up front that we know what we can expect from the phones. The phones actually release on October 21st in Europe and Asia, and don't come to the US until November 8th, so if you've been waiting for one, strangely we'll get it a couple weeks later than the rest of the world, but that's fine for most people. It's not that big of a wait, I would hope. If you want one that bad, spend an outrageous amount of money online and you'll have one in your possession shortly, I'm sure. In the US, AT&T and T-Mobile will be the first carriers for the phone. The phone's not yet coming to the CDMA platform, Sprint or Verizon, for some time. I believe it's going to be early 2011 when that comes. And in 2011, Microsoft promises cut and paste for the Windows Phone 7 platform. So that should be good news to many of you that are upset about the cut and paste. I thought it was odd that they were kind of pulling the Apple iPhone thing with the cut and paste and waiting to do that for a long time. So hopefully it'll be pretty quick. It's a handy little feature. So good news for you Mac users like myself. Windows has committed, or Windows Phone 7, or Microsoft I should say, has committed to letting you sync your information from Windows Phone 7 to your Mac. So I'm assuming that means Zune software on your Mac. There's no confirmed release date, and it actually was started with a tweet from an employee that said it was coming out on Mac, or you'll be able to sync, and then Microsoft confirmed that later in the day or the following day. So that's good news for those that want a Windows Phone 7 phone. And I have to say I'm pretty excited about that phone platform. It's definitely something different and will offer something that's a change of pace from Android and iPhone and well, dare I say WebOS. Palm Pre 2 was spotted in the wild, and that's about all we know about it. Looks a little bit longer, and looks like it has the slider keyboard, or the portrait slider keyboard, or QWERTY keyboard, and that's really all we know. So it looks like HP is continuing the pre-line like we thought they would, but there's not really any confirmation of that other than a photo that was snapped. So moving on to something that's a little bit different than phone news for a moment, we're going to talk about the Chevy Volt. The Volt is GM's new promise of a hybrid/electric car, or it was just an electric car driven by a gas generator. Now the car was promised to basically have no attachment to the drivetrain via the engine. Really it was only supposed to be powered by electric motors, but apparently GM has changed its mind. For speeds over 70 miles an hour, it actually engages the mechanical engine through the drivetrain and helps propel the car along. There's been a lot of news of iPhone coming to Verizon and Sprint, or, well, not really Sprint, but CDMA for some time, and we've heard it over and over and over, and it looks like it's probably going to happen pretty soon. We have the confirmation from Wall Street Journal and the New York Times that it appears it's in the works, so that's pretty good news. The Wall Street Journal generally gets those things right, so we'll have to see as, you know, maybe January or who knows when. Apple has just released iTunes 10.1 Beta 2 to developers, and not a whole lot of updates as to what it actually does, but they have released it. They've also released the 4.2 OS, or iOS, Beta 3, and that adds a couple new things. It adds things such as new SMS sounds, new mail sounds, ways to disable different sounds. Basically, it's a sound update. They did take out some of the key features of Beta 2, or 4.2 I should say, and that's AirPlay. Hopefully it makes it into the newest build, but in my use of 4.2 Beta 2, it doesn't seem to work with the Apple TV quite right, so it's probably going to be a while until they get it right and try it again, and hopefully it does come out with 4.2 and they get that right. It also includes some graphical glitch fixes, things like that, just some overall refinement again of 4.2, and we should see that in November for public release. Finally, Apple said that they're going to have a new event on October 20th. It's called Back to Mac, and it's got a little bit, well, here, take a look. If you look right in between there, or inside of there, you'll see a lion's face. So maybe that's the name of the next OS. I believe it is, but so lion, or snow leopard, who knows? They're always named after cats, but we'll find out on October 20th. Now that doesn't mean they're going to release it right away, but it does mean that they will release it eventually, and we'll see that probably in a year maybe. That's what they did with leopard and snow leopard anyway. So it's hard to say exactly when that's going to come out, but not too far from now we're going to have a new event. So in a week and a half, I guess, from now, we should see some news on new Mac products. Now, included with that could be the new iLife that's rumored, and maybe some updates to Final Cut and that suite, as it's been rumored that it's going to be happening soon for some time. And I know a lot of the pro developers are quite anxious to have some updates to some of the issues they're having. That's pretty much all the news. Now, check out all the links in the show notes if you didn't catch that before, and please continue to subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.